The next one is from Sarah, and her question is roundtable. I come from a development background and I'm new to a full-time testing role. I've been tasked with testing and creating automated tests for a very large enterprise project. We have a lot of specs, but past QA teams have never used written test cases or test plans. Are those still a critical part of testing or a thing of the past? Absolutely, they are critical. Now, there are camps in the community where they say about writing test cases or writing test cases versus exploratory testing and context-driven testing. But end of the day, for automation, you do need tests, written tests, right? And if you don't have good tests, going back to the same thing which we discussed earlier, I think, if you don't have good tests, automation is of no use. Your automation is as good as the kind of test scenarios we are automating. If they are just, beating around the bush and not testing significant enough features, there's no point in those tests running at all. And I think Angie also talked about this in yesterday's session. So yes, good tests are important. And I generally try to find out what areas of the application are the most used by our clients, and what areas would have a greater, and what areas, if we do automate, would have the greatest impact. Then you go about getting collaboration from testers to draft great test scenarios. And it does not have to be in just the tester and tester doing the whole test and just giving it out to the automation engineer. At times what happens is the testers, they don't know how automation works, and in some cases you would say that, the amount of effort we're going to do in automating this specific task here, it's not worth it. We'll just keep going back for maintenance. For instance, the mouse hover thing. If your application has somewhere where there's something in the mouse hover, a tooltip, something, you're verifying a tooltip, that's just you're better off without doing that. So it has to be a collaborative effort between the manual tester and the automation engineer to draft good scenarios, and we do exactly that. So we have discussions with the manual testers as to, guys, how do you think we go about testing this feature? And we come up with few steps there. Then we write the tests as automation engineers, and we say that, okay, translating that one line, this is what we think. And then we go back to the tester and say, hey, this is what we've written. What do you think? Do you find any loopholes, or how then we collaborate on that, and that's when we start doing our test. That's the ideal case. Sometimes we do skip a test step here or there, but that's generally how it's done. It is lengthy, I agree. It might be time consuming, but it's worth it. That's the point. It's worth it. If you don't have good tests to automate to begin with, there's really no point in doing the automation. Because automation is supposed to serve testers. If it's not serving testers, then it's not doing its job. So a tester's responsibility is to have a decent coverage of tests before the application is pushed. So we are trying to facilitate them in taking off some mundane tasks off their hands so they can do more of the critical thinking. And if we are doing something which they won't test anyway, then what's the point, right? So it has to come from testers.